got two topics I want to talk about today. One is positive, one is not so positive. But let's start with the positive. So I came across an ESPN article, and keep in mind, with it being late June, I'll be transparent. It's pretty slow out there, right? There's not a lot of juicy topics. But this one caught my attention. I thought, you know what? This could be something for you guys just to kind of, absorb going into the weekend before you go out on Lake Lanier. So, as I was saying, I came across this ESPN article that talked about treatment of families, which isn't the most hot topic, hot pressing, fresh off the news story, but I thought I had some really good insight into kind of behind the scenes for NFL players. And this was something that I didn't think much of, but players do, and if players valued a lot, then we should probably learn a little bit about it. So Jessie Bates was talking about the treatment of families, which if you know the NFLPA report cards, you know that's one of the things they get graded on. And the Falcons get a great grade. They had the second best grade, I think it was, this past year, or definitely towards the top. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Bengals, who just constantly get dragged through the mud for screwing things up, they did not get the best grade. And Bates is a great person to talk to since he played for the Bengals. I'm downplaying it. The Bengals got a horrible grade. They got an F-. So Bates is a great person to talk to as someone who played for the Bengals and now plays for the Atlanta Falcons, going, polar opposites in terms of treatment of families. But Bates talked about how after the game is over, there's a family suite, and I'll put this on screen for you guys to see, in Mercedes-Benz Dome after home games, where there is food and a place our families can be able to connect on a different level. And the Atlanta Falcons, throughout this article, come across as a top-notch organization. They organized Halloween gatherings, trick-or-treating activities for players' families. They did not, hold back or cheap out or spare a dime at any turn when making sure that players' families on game days are afforded the most comfortable and overall best situation to take a game in to watch, their dad, their husbands, their family members out there. So I thought that was real classy by the Falcons, and like I said, for it being late June, you don't have a whole lot out there to begin with. So when you see something like this, you go, all right, there you go. I'm proud of my team for, being one of the better organizations in sports when it comes to this kind of things. Meanwhile, the Bengals, they're an absolute shit show. I mean, they have like a tent outdoors. It's an absolute disaster for the Bengals, and that's why they get an F-. But if you really want a, I wouldn't even say a concrete takeaway, but more of a substantial takeaway from this, it's when you get guys who are 27, 28, and they're looking to go to their second or third team, they're going to look at things like, hey, is my wife and kids going to be taken care of while I'm busy playing, right? Is there going to be a spot for them to take the game in? Is there going to be a spot for us to connect after the game is over and not just, hey, there's a section of the parking lot you guys can stand in? Those are things that don't really appear to matter much to me, but to players it does. And I think the better, or maybe more of the impactful takeaway is, it's not necessarily, hey, this is great marketing to try and bring free agents to Atlanta. That's important, but it could be really important marketing to keep your good players in Atlanta. You know what I mean? When you've got some really, prized free agents from your roster, and they're mulling over signing with the Broncos, signing with the Bills, or staying in Atlanta, and they go, I don't really want to leave because happy wife, happy life, and we love it here. And we love the way the Falcons take care of our family during games at home. And that's not something that we're willing to compromise if we go to the Bengals, for example. And instead of there being a suite for the family and with free food and drinks, no, they're kind of just treated like they're on a Disney tour. So I thought that was pretty insightful, and I thought you guys might get some value out of it. Now, next up, I want to talk about the second half of the video, which is the not so positive thing. So I'm not sure if you saw this, but Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk and Pablo Torre, I think from ESPN still, right? I don't keep up with him anymore. RIP around the horn. But anywho, they had this monster document come out. It was more of like a release of some confidential, at one point, I don't know the legality of it, but it talked about collusion. That was the main theme of it. And I gave it a read over. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm probably, not the greatest person to relay what was in there, but I'll give you what I was able to consume out of it. And in this collusion document, or documents, it focused on Lamar Jackson. And remember when he was a free agent with the Ravens, and the Ravens put the franchise tag on him, and the Falcons and a bunch of other teams came out and said, we are not pursuing Lamar Jackson. Everyone's like, that's kind of weird. Like, I've never seen a team just tweet, we are not going to pursue that player. So that's a major yellow flag. We're like, what is going on here? Well, we got some intel because Arthur Blank was quoted throughout these documents. And he talked about the reasoning for why the Falcons passed, if you will, on Lamar Jackson. And Blank cited injury concerns. Interesting. Injury concerns for a young Lamar Jackson who had won an MVP and shortly after this would win a second. And while he did miss some time in back-to-back seasons down the stretch, so it's not fabricated that he had gotten injured. Here's the thing. Did no one tell Arthur Blank that Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles less than a year ago at the time of the signing for $100 million guaranteed? He was willing to sign off for 35-year-old Kirk Cousins off an Achilles injury for 100 G's guaranteed. But MVP in his 20s, Lamar Jackson, who had suffered some minor to medium level injuries, that's a bridge too far. Who, by the way, would get $135 million in guarantees. I'm not even going to say that I'm sure there's more to it, because there probably is some deeper conversations that have to be had. But surface level, Lamar missed a couple games. We can't pursue that. Kirk Cousins 35 off an Achilles for $100 million guaranteed. We're in. That's preposterous. So I'm inclined to believe that there probably was some level of foul play done by the owners to mitigate what happened with the Browns and Deshaun Watson, where Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, started this cool hot trend of let's give quarterbacks fully guaranteed contracts, which, hey, I don't think people should be mad at the Browns for doing that. Just because your owner wants to behave like he's poor doesn't mean that the Browns should be blamed for taking a chance on something. You can criticize the football move, but to get mad at Browns ownership for giving Deshaun a fully guaranteed contract because now that puts your owner in a tough position, who cares? Your owner should be put on blast if he's not willing to spend millions. He gets to play real-life fantasy football. It's the coolest job in the world. So I think there was some level of collusion going on amongst the owners of, well, we're not going to pursue Lamar because we don't want to give Lamar a fully guaranteed contract, because then we all have to give fully guaranteed contracts. So unfortunately for Lamar, it's bad timing, because we're going to make a stand with the quarterback right after Deshaun Watson and show the 31 other owners are not going to give quarterbacks fully guaranteed deals. And Falcons fans were kind of the real losers throughout this, because their team comes out and says, we're not going to pursue an MVP quarterback, and the owner says, because of injuries. And then they sign a 35-year-old quarterback to $100 million guaranteed coming off an Achilles injury. But hey, who gives a shit now? You got Michael Penix.